Okay, we are back again for another Word of Torah. I am Rod Bryant along with Moshe Abrahams. I'm
Hello.
not going to sing this time because I did that a couple of weeks ago, and I
Ah, I
think
think
people were like, hey, you sang the intro, and that didn't come out too well. So next time I'll
that's a
do it with a
shame.
band. You know what? You can bring out your ukulele or banjo. What do you have near? You see, look, now,
Word
see,
of
you can.
Torah and NETIV.
So you need to come up with an intro song and just play it. So
Yeah,
we
but I
don't
think
have
I think
copyright issues or any of that stuff. See?
there's a YouTube channel about films that didn't age very well, like
Right?
like old, and they're just basically it's really funny. But
Y-
the intros, the guy just sings like these films are a little bit racist, these films are kind of out of date, or something like that, and it just makes me laugh so much. And then
Yeah.
at the end of him doing it, it's the other guy going, "Is that the theme tune?" He's like, "Yep."
That you got
That's
to
it,
see that. You send it to me because I have to see that.
Right,
That would
right,
be
definitely,
great.
definitely.
So look, we're multi-talented men. He plays several instruments. I play the radio, and I can sing.
And the spoons.
And the spoons, right, right. I can
Sorry.
play a countertop. That works as well. So anyway, we are in Genesis still. We just
Yeah.
came out of, or we're talking about Noah, and the ark
Mm.
was filled, and the wife and children and wives of his children gathers into the ark all of the animals. There's sort of a repetitive nature of like, here are the animals come two by two and seven and et cetera. And then it says there almost looks like a recount going, okay, they're all in the ark
Mm.
and they're getting ready to shut the door, I guess is where we're at, correct?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because we were always talking about, especially in Noach, always talking about Rabbi David Foreman and how he was talking about how the process of Noach is the opposite of the process of Genesis.
Hmm.
And so just like God proliferated out all of these animals by creating them, now he's kind of gathering them all back into the
Right,
almost the womb of the ark to
right,
protect them from the wilds. And so we have Hamer, V'kol hachaya, all of the life, Lamina to its kind, V'kol habahema, all of the big mammals,
right.
Lamina to their kind, V'kol haremes, Haromes, al haaretz, all the crawly
Mhm.
things that crawl on the earth, Laminehu to their kinds, V'kol haof, Laminehu, all the flying things, Kol tzipor, kol kanaf, all birds and all wings, they're all going into the ark. And then it says Vayavau, and this is it. I like this. Vayavau, and they came. So we got Bo. This week's Parsha, from your and my perspective, this week's
Right.
Parsha is Parsha Bo.
Oh,
But by the
mhm.
time the audience catch up with us, Bo will have passed.
Correct.
So this is that same word, Bo, to come. But you put a yod on it, it means he will come, future tense. You put a tense flipping vav on it, that flips the tense into the past tense, so it's he came. And then if you put this uvav at the end, it pluralizes who's doing it. So it means
Hmm.
they came. El Noach, El Hateva, to Noach, to the ark. Shanayim, Shanayim, Mikol Habasar, two and two from all the flesh. We discussed this last week
Oh,
and
we
said
did.
like
Well,
we
actually ended on the discussion of what a miraculous event that is, even though we don't really
yeah,
fully comprehend what that means.
yeah, some of the kind of
Right,
mysticism of it is like excluded from us, isn't it? So we
right.
get to know some amazing things and not other amazing things. And early Torah, there's lots of amazing stuff and miracles and the creation of physics and all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But as you go on, it really becomes much more of just a family story.
Right.
We were talking privately, weren't we, after last week's recording, that when it comes to like biblical scholarship, a lot of people just have the urge to object to the Bible. But
Correct.
actually, most of the Bible it's the stories of the Jews, you know, going adhering to the Torah and having times of prosperity and happiness, and then straying from the Torah and getting in trouble.
Hmm.
But most of it
Right.
isn't miracles. Most of it is people living lives wanting to connect to God. And actually, most of the time, God likes it when things follow the laws of nature and we
Right.
live a normal life. He doesn't like to suspend the laws of nature that much. So these animals coming, how miraculous are they walking up? Is it what we imagine when we're kids? Is it, giraffes poking out? Is it a smaller other animals that ended up proliferating out after the flood? I don't know. But it says, 2 and 2 from all the flesh, asher bo, that in it, ruach hachayim. Now watch this. This bow up here is bet aleph. This means to come. But this bow down here is bet vav, different word.
Right.
It's a homophone. So what happens is it's not technically a word. What it is a prefix and a suffix. The prefix bet means in or with. And the vav here with a little yarmulke on top of it, little kippah, it means him or his. So it's all the flesh that in it has ruach chayim, the spirit of life. Oh, I love that phrase. Ruach chayim, the wind of life is inside all of these things. It's all of these living things. Vahaboim. This is whenever you put, if you put a verb and then put im on the end, what you normally get is the characters that do this verb. So if it's nafal is to fall, nafalim is the ones who fell. If it's bo is to come, boim is the ones who came.
Right.
So the ones who came, zakar unkeva, male and female, mikal basar ba'u, from all flesh they came. This is now we're getting to the Noach equivalent of the male and female bit in Genesis, right?
Right.
Ka'asher tziva oto Elohim, like that he commanded him, God did. Now this is a really weird phrase, because who's the him? We're talking about every single male and female representative of the animals has come, like he commanded him. Well, who did God command? He commanded Noach.
Correct.
He said to Noach, all the animals will come to you. And he wasn't going, to, have you got the telephone number for the polar bears?
Right.
I just need to give them a little bit of a call on their cell. Now it's God said to Noach, all the animals will come to you. And because he said it to Noach, it happened, right? Because God speaks truth. When he says something like that, it happens. When he declares it to be true, it becomes true. So God commanded all the animals to come to Noach. So they did. They obeyed what God commanded Noach. And then we have this. Look at this. Look, I love this bit here. When God took Adam and put an anesthetic on him and did an operation and divided him into male and female,
right?
Afterwards it says, V'yiskor habasar tachtena, and he closed the flesh afterwards or underneath where he divided them into male and female. And so up here we have the male and female, just like the operation divided Adam into male and female. And here we have V'yisgor Adonai Bado. And so God closed the ark afterwards. And I just thought that was so sweet.
That is really interesting, yeah.
Because he could have just said, put a handle on the inside.
Right.
But he didn't. God closed it. He wanted to be the one to make the final thing. And actually, that's the opposite of what he did with us as well. Because when God made people, he made people and that they were innocent and they were naked and they weren't ashamed and they didn't know that they were naked because they weren't really aware. And then he allowed us to choose whether we were going to eat from the fruit that made us realize the difference between right and wrong and realize we were naked. So he let us make the final decision about how we were going to be. He involved us in our own creation. And now he told Noach, you build the ark that was going to rescue you. He let Noach do all the work, but he wanted to do the final thing. He wanted to close the door. So God closing the door on the ark is the equivalent of us choosing to eat the fruit. We're just doing that. There's one more job to do, and that's to do this. So I'm going to do that. I just think it's very loving.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in such a traumatic event as the death of the world. God's just going to come and I'm just going to tuck you in. I'm just going to make sure you're okay in this safe little box, which I miraculously am going to make you safe. You're going to be in a wooden box floating on top of an oceanic world for 370 days. But I'm going to make you safe. I'm going to make sure you have everything you need. And make sure it won't be breached. It'll be. I've designed this boat to take care of all of your needs. And I'm going to close the door.
Right.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Of God.
And we mentioned, I think, after our class, you and I were chatting that this tradition, this story exists in all kinds of cultures around the world. So this is a
Yeah.
real event that took place. Now, the details, you know, may
Yeah.
vary, but this seemed to be an event that took place that was very impactful.
Yeah. It's something we all have in common.
Yeah.
This is the thing is we always kind of talk about, how silly racism is and how silly divisionism is, and to be
Hmm.
separated. We really should be all coming together for the same purpose, and
Absolutely.
we all want the same thing. I saw a non-Jewish person who was very anti-Israel talking about accusing Israelis of not being really Jews, and he say, "Oh well, well you've got some dark skin, so you could have come from that region." But he decided that if people looked Arabic, because he thinks everyone in the Middle East is Arabic, forgets
Right.
about
Right.
Copts and Yazidis and the massive variation in that region. But he said, "Oh, those should be Arabs." If he sees a Jew who looks Arabic, he goes, "Oh, you're a Jew." But if he sees a Jew who's too white, or if he sees a Jew who's too black,
Hmm.
he's saying, "Oh, they're not really Jews," because the crazy thing is, he was saying there's too much racial variation within the Jewish nation for this random guy, and he was declaring, "You're not real Jews." And I was thinking, why if Jews were just very homogenized, he'd have a
Right.
problem with that. if
Well,
they'd
of course he
varied.
would, because then he would pit that homogenized group against everybody else. Like, see,
Yeah, yeah. Why do you get to be the ones? But actually, it happens to be we've got Chinese Jews and black Jews and white Jews, and we've got everybody. Everyone's welcome.
right,
Uh, Not everybody has to do it because it's a tough life.
correct,
But anyone who wants the job can have the job.
right.
All you got to do is keep 613 laws. You just commit,
Well, that's all. Just
come and be
613.
welcome. But it's interesting because you don't need to do it. God
Hmm.
set this up in the first place. Why did he build this nation? We're going to get to Abraham soon, and we're going to read him say to Abraham that all the nations of the world will bless themselves by your children.
Right,
And you think, why did he make a nation in the first place? Why bother getting involved and setting up a country, tiny little country,
right,
0.003% of the Middle East? It's a tiny little strip,
right.
smaller than Long Island, I think, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's to the benefit of the non-Jew,
Hmm.
because just like we have Kohanim, we have priests, and they do a service for us in the temple.
Correct.
So I can't walk into the temple and bring my sacrifice. I've got to have someone
Right.
who's trained in it to do it for me. And so that's what the Jewish people are for the non-Jewish people. They're people who dedicate their entire lives to studying the Torah, so that when you have a question, you can go and we're
Right.
customer support, right? We're customer
Right.
support for
And
God.
look, it was God that gave the Jewish people that title of priest to the nations. You guys didn't
Yeah,
give yourself that. Why would you want that job?
yeah.
Okay, in the first place.
But people forget what that means. A priest nation, that means I'm serving you. When you go
Right.
to the priest, you say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to make this donation, and I want to give this. And the priest goes, okay, give it here, and I'll bring it up, I'll put it where it's supposed to go, and I'll make
Right.
sure everyone, like that. It's like I always think about it as like the librarians of God.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah.
know,
There you go. That's actually
the
good. I like that.
librarian serves the scholar. The
Right.
librarian knows how to use the services in the library well.
Right.
So the scholar comes in, they want to find out about this very, very niche subject. Great. I know just the person. Come over here, go
Right.
to this stack, right? That's what it's for. So, and we see this because here in Noah, God's setting up the entire world. Who
Correct.
comes out of the ark will be the nations, will be the
Right.
everybody. And you see how much care God's taking about putting them safely in the box and making sure they have everything they
And
need.
and each of the what do you call it, the divisions of the nations that come out of those people that come off the ark
Yeah.
is a compilation of everybody that needs to do what they're supposed to do.
Yes. Yes.
You will have eventually Abraham that comes through. You have Shem that brings and teaches the universal laws that came from Adam.
Yeah.
Then you have the nations that spread out all over the place. They are supposed to do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and obviously so does the descendants of Abraham.
Yeah. They're all essential. They're all
Right.
essential. There's this is the thing. We have a rabbi who said one time, "The day that you were born was the day that God decided the world couldn't go another day without you."
I really like that. Yeah.
It's so true, because this world couldn't work if one person was missing.
Right.
If one of these people were missing, the whole thing would collapse.
Right.
It's such a precise machine. People don't realize. They can't imagine what it takes God to orchestrate the interactions between all of these different people.
Mm-hmm.
There's one moment in Bo where Moses sees an Egyptian attacking a Jew,
Right.
and he goes to rescue him, and he looks both ways, and then he kills the Egyptian, and it's a
Right.
terrible thing to kill a person, but the scholars say, the sages say, when he looked both ways, what he was doing was he was looking at the Egyptian's descendants to see if there's someone essential going to come from this guy, and he's
Right.
one of the very, very, very rare people that no one essential was going to come from this guy.
Right.
This guy was doing evil. He was a
interesting
Rasha.
take. I haven't actually thought about that.
It's an interesting one, because it's like, if he had seen anyone that we need today, he couldn't have done it. He would have had to come up with some other solution. Right. But he God went, yeah, that guy, he's only bringing evil. So you can. Yeah.
That's good. I've never really heard that. That's really good.
No,
that's good.
But
let's get back to the text.
Let's get back to the text. Sorry, this is one of those things where every word just feels like it, I know. Feathers out into so many different tangents. So God closed the ark afterwards. So Vayehi hamabul, and it was the flood. Mabul always sounds like a flood to me. Arba'im yom, 40 days, al haaretz, on the earth. Vayirbu, and it's so Rav is much or many. So Vayirbu is the verb to multiply. Vayirbu hamayim, the waters multiplied. Vayisu et hateva, and they lifted up the ark. This word here, excuse me. Every word in the language, every word comes from a 3-letter verb root, and the 3-letter verb root here is missing a letter. So the word is actually nasa. Nun is missing; it's a weak letter; it's dropped off. Nun sin aleph means to lift up, and that's how I always remember, because you're in Houston.
Oh yeah.
So what's NASA's job? NASA's job is lifting stuff up into the sky.
Right.
Yeah, that's all they do all day. So the Yisu et hateva, the waters lifted the ark, the taram, and raised me al haaretz. So she raised from on the earth. So this is now the point. She's got water underneath her. The waters have come so great that they can lift this entire box with all these different animals in it. Vayigbaru, so gever. A gever is a bloke, but it comes from gibor, which is a mighty champion. Right. So the verb vayigbaru means to become mighty. So vayigbaru hamayim, the waters became mighty. Vayirbu ma'od, and they became very rav. They become very many. Al haaretz, on the earth. Vatelech, and she went, hateva, the ark went, al panei hamayim, on the face of the water. And that's another phrase which comes from Genesis, because we had the idea that the ruach Elohim, the spirit of God, merachefet, hovered al panei hamayim, on the face of the waters. So these images keep on coming back from creation.
Sorry about that.
So we get it again. Like you said, in the beginning, you were explaining that he kept on repeating these phrases. He kept on giving us again and again.
Right.
V'hamayim gavru ma'od, and the waters became like very mighty. And it says ma'od, very, very.
Right.
Al haaretz, on the land. Vaikusu, and they covered kol haharim, all of the mountains. Hagavohim, the very high mountains. Asher tachat kol hashemayim, all that was under the heavens. Asher tachat, that was under kol hashemayim, all of the heavens. So from the perspective of heaven, all you have is just water, 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 covering everything. Just like 1998's was it Kevin Costner's Waterworld? That's what we're picturing.
Right. But it's more than because I've heard scientific explanations about the ice caps melting
Mm,
because of, a catastrophic event such as
mm,
a meteor or whatever.
mm,
But this was so catastrophic that it
yeah.
broke the waters from the deep. I mean,
Mm,
people don't realize there's more water under the ground than there is above the ground. And
mm,
so when you think that that water broke out, I mean, the tectonic plates had to have split. I mean, the level of disruption on this earth is grander than I think that we can even perceive by reading this text. I mean, it's so grand.
yeah.
It's so enormous.
It's harder to know as well what even to imagine because in the beginning of Bereshit, God gave the laws of physics,
Correct.
and now this is the reversal effects. So even it's understandable to think that the rules are breaking down as well. Like
Right.
all that we thought was fixed is all
Correct.
going out the window. Like um, before it meant water, mayim meant flow because
Right.
we didn't necessarily have H2O, we didn't have two hydrogens and oxygen from the beginning of time. We
Hmm.
had things which flowed first, and then later we got to fix things. So
Right.
it's possible we're even going back beyond
Yeah.
the limited things and the physical things, and we're going back into the kind of everything's in flux.
Right.
Chamesh Esrei, 15 amma. This is an amma. That's a cubit,
Hmm.
roughly that, a forearm. So 15 of those, amma, mil ma'ala, from above, gevru hamayim. So there's water um, that vaikusu harim, covering the mountains to a strength of water above 15 cubits above the highest mountain.
Wow.
The 15 cubits doesn't sound like that much, like if I was to, I mean, maybe it's like a story and a half, but it's a story and a half over the highest mountain.
Over the highest mountain. Right.
So it's like the scale is beyond. You've got an unfathomably large thing, and then it's a little bit more than that.
Right. It's a
So
complete destruction of
yeah,
everything on the earth.
yeah, that's it. And if you think about, say, let's take the two highest mountains and put them, they're thousands and thousands of miles apart.
Hmm.
That means the highest bit of this is still 15 below. So you'd have to be directly above the peak of the
Right.
absolute highest mountain, and you'd still have to swim down 15 cubits before you could even just
The
put your
tip of
fingertip
the
on a
mountain.
stone. Whereas the rest of it would be, you'd be,
Well,
2 miles
I
deep or
was
something.
I was reading about the area in Wyoming where all of the dinosaur bones and
Oh,
trees and
yeah.
all this stuff is found, and it is obvious that there was such a force of water that pushed it over what is now the continental U.S.
Mm,
that it came over, and when it drained back off the land, it left these humongous deposits. I mean, how can you
wow.
explain that everything is within that sediment? I mean, you go to other parts of the country, you don't
Yeah.
even find that much.
Yeah, yeah,
But you find these huge piles of trees and bones and full animals that have been preserved in the ground. It's like
yeah.
you can't just say this is an invented story from
Mm.
Judaism.
Yeah, I saw a David Attenborough once where he was on top of a mountain,
Oh,
and
David Hasselhoff.
here we see
Jay.
an old rock that used to be a monster. Yeah, so he was on top of a mountain, and he went, "What was he? Trilobite," and he had like a kind of fossil of some sort of a sea creature, and he said, "This is now a mountain, but used to be the bottom of the sea."
See,
And he
that's
said, and it's just
phenomenal.
like we don't know, on these scales, we don't know what to assume. Like
Oh.
everything, up was down and down was up. Bottom of the sea was top of the mountain, top of
Well,
the
you
mountain,
could
bottom of the
say,
sea.
oh, well, this was under the ocean, but
Yeah,
you don't know. It was
yeah,
such a
yeah,
tumultuous event that took place. I mean, there's a place in West Texas you can just walk around, and on top of the hills, you find what looks like coral and everything from under the ocean,
wow,
and that's way out in West
yeah,
Texas. There's
yeah.
no water around there besides streams, right?
It's been through its life, hasn't it? There's nothing new under the sun. Everything's done something. Everything's been somewhere before we came along.
Absolutely. So why don't we wrap this up here? We're out
Yeah.
of time, so
we're in chapter 7, verse
Mhm.
20, verse Kaf, and we'll pick up on this one when we come
yeah, we'll
when we
do a
come back
review
next
of that
week,
and go into 21.
and we'll check on Noah how he's doing inside the box.
Yes, and if he's worried or concerned or sweating, you know, there's a lot of great oral tradition that talk about in midrashic terms. I mean, obviously there are some people that say, it's midrash, you know, you can't take it so literally, but imagine you being stuck in even a cruise ship with
Yeah.
all of your family and in-laws. Of course, you have mamish the best in-laws that you could ever
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm
Your
very lucky.
mother who never kvetches about anything,
Yeah.
you know, but could you imagine?
Yeah.
A
370 days
year.
is a long
A
time.
year, right. Like,
We
think
got a
about that.
taste of it
Just
during COVID.
right. Just that alone, with all of the
Yeah.
food that you have, you don't have any
Yeah.
animals. Just that alone, having to look at these people all the
Yeah.
time. Could you imagine having to feed these animals? And they're
Yeah.
all on different schedules of eating. Some are nocturnal, some eat in the day, some eat in the morning, some in the afternoon, some eat one meal a day. I mean,
Yeah. The muskox has got a cold again.
right.
Oi.
And what do you do with all of the you know, the mess?
Yeah. Yeah. Dear, oh dear.
Oh, guys, it's like, why didn't they tell me they had so much bulval and fecal matter? Why did somebody not tell us? So anyway, we've made our jokes. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or go to Moshe's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Word of Torah. Then you can also go to his YouTube, his Gmail, Moshe Teaches at gmail.com. Send him all the hard, complex questions
Yeah.
and send all the kind, not the kind complaints. It would be the kind remarks to mine. So,
Absolutely.
NETIVcenter@gmail.com. Okay, it's been
Wonderful.
great. We'll see you guys next week at the same time. Shalom, shalom.
Litrot. Bye.